That one.
Good morning. Welcome.
Thank you.
All right. Just put some music on here.
I am. I don't. I think I was.
Finally.
I found more of it than I ever knew I had.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, thank you all again for coming out here. And Armando, thank you for the travel, man, coming out. And, you know, we haven't scared you out yet. You made it through the baptism portion of the ceremony here. That's good. What are your thoughts? Just, I mean, this is your first time in this kind of experience. You saw a little bit of the role play. You saw a little bit of what we do, what we call our morning ascent. And we always start with that. And I know it's kind of hard when you don't really understand what we're saying yet. We're all saying it loud and together.
Yeah.
Does it make you feel a little uncomfortable?
A little.
Yeah.
But it's nice.
What do you like about it?
Probably the self-confidence.
The self-confidence formula?
And it's 12 steps.
That's cool. It gives you something to focus on. One of the things that I like that you told me before, something about in terms of feeling uncomfortable and growth. Do you remember that? What you shared with me previously? What happens when you feel uncomfortable or you're out of your comfort zone? You're growing, right?
Oh,
Yeah, right. That was one of the things you shared with me that you picked up. He came to our summit as well. So Armando was introduced through a good friend of his, a mentor of his that is very successful in real estate. He actually works for another company based out of Goleta. So we met together. He does a lot of commercial stuff, and we had a good meeting. And he was like, you know, you really got to meet this young guy, Armando. So Armando, how old are you now? 21 years old. So we're trying to introduce him so he can see what types of opportunities are out there and some of the things that we practice and what we do on a regular basis here to perfect our skills to be successful in our business. Okay, so welcome. Thank you for coming out here, bud, and thanks for answering some of those tough questions I hit you with right out the gate. Right. So today, guys, awesome job on making it, and awesome job on the role play, and it was cool just to see that and see you guys do so well, to be honest with you, for your very first time. And as much as it feels uncomfortable, do you see the value in doing that on a regular basis? Does it make sense why? In terms of why we do that? What's that?
Then you can be Yvette.
You can be Yvette by the time you're done.
Brandon.
Oh.
Yeah.
Step over and
I'll start with you.
Well, we all see the importance of it, and see the key thing with this. There's a few things. There's a few things that I wanted to touch on today. And I'm going to start with a story, a situation with what happened with my son yesterday. So at about 2 o'clock, I get a call from my wife, and she says, Mikey ate it and he face planted coming from school today. Now, just a couple weeks ago, my daughter went to the ER for falling. She's 2 years old and hits her head. Probably a week, 2 weeks before that, I'm in Mammoth snowboarding without a helmet on, and I hit my head and I'm in the ER, concussion. It's crazy things of what's going on. So number one, be careful about what you're afraid of, right? Because if you're afraid of something, those things start happening. So it gets really important in terms of what you're focused on. But the reason why I'm bringing this story, and I'm going to get into a little bit more details of how I had to handle the situation, is leaders, and that's what it is that we all do on a regular basis. This is what we do, and a lot of people don't realize this is what real estate's about. It's about leadership. It's about guiding people in one of the most stressful things that they ever experience in their life. They're looking for a leader, right? We lead at home. We lead with our friends. We lead with our families. We even lead with our parents at times when we would think it's the other way around. We can lead them, right, and help them make better decisions, because that fear starts overtaking us. And it's very easy to kind of freak out. What happens when you're fearful? You shrink, you kind of paralyze, you freeze, right? You don't know what to say, you shut down. Why do we want to go to a place of gratitude? Very first thing that we start with. I know Kendall knows all the answers here. She's trying to hold back. It's really hard. So why do we go to a place of gratitude?
Fear and gratitude can't coexist.
Fear and gratitude can't coexist. What does that mean?
Basically, you can't feel fearful if you're focused on everything you're grateful for. So it eliminates, it takes the wall down of what fear automatically builds up. It really allows you to be vulnerable in your learning exercise.
It does. It opens you up, right? When you're in a state of fear, it shuts you down, right? When you're afraid, if we all freak out, nothing good happens in that situation. Fear, your brain is like a vacuum. Fear is relentless and it easily gets into your head, very easily. Everywhere you look, what you read, what you see, who you're around, who you associate with, that fear starts festering and it is strong. The only way to fight it, as she mentioned, is to purposely focus on what you're grateful for. That's the reason why we start with our gratitudes. That's the reason why we want to start first thing in the morning instead of hitting that alarm clock off, right? Which is very natural. Let's snooze it, right? Just 5 more minutes, 10 more minutes, right? This is nice and cozy and comfortable. Oh, my kids are snuggled up with me. I really don't want to get out of bed right now. It's cool when that happens, right? Because you know it's not going to last forever. But all these things start happening, and as subtle as that is, that's also negativity that just starts seeping into our head, right? So with my son, I hear his nose may be broken. I'm like, oh my gosh, send me a picture. She's like, I'm driving right now. It's like, okay, well, I need to see how bad this is right now. She's like, it's okay. I'm going to pick up Emma right now. I said, no, I said, go straight there. I'm going to stop what I'm doing. I'll go pick up Emma. So luckily I was in Camarillo, so I was able to shoot over there. So I pick up my daughter. She's waiting in the office. She has no clue what's going on, right? So my son's walking on this ledge, which he does every single day right out of school. There's a ledge. It's not that high. It's about 2 feet high. And his buddy Mason, they just roughhouse it. They're 5 years old. So they run, they do it all the time. This time, somehow he slips and hits it face first without getting his hands out, right? So his lips are swelling up, his nose is swollen, and I'm seeing it in his eyes. He's crying, and he's been crying a lot lately. So, I tell him the boy who cried wolf story quite a bit, right? And it's just like, I need to know when it's serious or when it's not. And so she takes him over to Kaiser in Ventura, gets him over there. And, at first they said it's going to be a 3-hour wait. And I'm texting Danielle. I said, Danielle, let him know that he hit his face. He may have a broken nose. And that's what the doctor did confirm, that his nose may be broken. And so we're seeing all this. And the whole point of the reason why I'm telling you this, he goes to sleep at night. Luckily, things are okay. And they're like, just watch the symptoms. He's not showing concussion symptoms. First thing this morning, he doesn't want to go to school. And I'm trying to figure out why, right? He does say there's some pain, but I know, and I had a feeling he's worried about what other people are going to think about him, because his nose is scraped up, his lips are swollen, right? We already have big lips as it is, so now they're even bigger, and he doesn't like it that I point that out. I'm like, your lips are already big, okay? It's just a little bit bigger, a little rosier. I said, but you find out later on that's a good thing, okay? It's like I said, right now you may not like it, but down the road, Armando knows it's a good thing down the road, right? So, but what I helped him do, and one of the nice things, and I like that he likes to read the Bible. He likes it when I read him the Bible. And the story, which was amazing, there were 2 stories. One was about where seeds get planted, okay? And it talks about seeds that are landing on hard rock. What happens? They don't grow. The birds come and they pick them, and as soon as they fall, they get blown away, right? And then the seeds that land in the gravel, what happens there? They grow, but weeds overcome them, right? Then there's other seeds that land in good, rich soil, right? What happens to those seeds? They grow, but they don't just, they flourish. There's abundance, right? This exact same thing. What's the purpose of that story? Why was that story important? Does anybody know? What was the message that was trying to be shared with everybody?
If you are soft, you can absorb and you can flourish. And if you're rock hard, you wouldn't be able to absorb anything, and people would think that he's a hard person to deal with.
It can be. So it's good. It's an analogy. It's a story. But there's a reason why the answer is just not given.
Fertile land to grow.
You need fertile land to grow. What's the fertile land?
Grateful.
A grateful heart. It's your mind, right? And the answers aren't just told because we have to think about it and we got to open up. It's our mind. It is.
He knows.
Well, I'm just starting, right? I'm just learning. Come on. No, you're good. You're good. So then the next thing that's said is you may have ears, but you may not be listening. You may have eyes, but you may not be seeing, right? So the whole point of this story, and the reason why this story is being shared is because unless you want it, the teachers, the managers, the leaders, they can train and they can coach. But unless you have a thirst for it and you're ready to hear it, you may not hear the message. Unless you're doing the things, we can listen all day, but if we're not taking action, if we're not practicing, this was a waste of time. You guys just sacrificed your morning for nothing if we don't take action afterwards, right? But the one thing I love that I'm seeing is I see a lot of very fertile soil, if you want to call it that, and a thirst for the knowledge and for the information. And that's all we're going to share. And it's the same exact thing as you're looking with your clients and you're prospecting, the exact same thing. They may not be ready right now. They may not hear you the first time, right? You may reach out to them and their mind's not in the right place because their kid just fell and face planted, right? And their mind is there and they're in a space, or they're stressed about certain things that are happening politically, school, kids, all the other things, gas prices, right? So many things that can just inundate us and take our mind off it. And our job as good leaders is to figure out how do we create that conversation so we can move to it, okay? Does this all make sense? Do you see the importance of why I started with some scripture this morning?
Can I get it? Amen.
Can I get an amen? Okay. So the cool thing that I can share with Mikey is he did go to school. I shared with him the stories, which I know he likes. And through the stories, he started easing it. And anybody who knows Lou Gehrig knows that Lou Gehrig was tough and he played through broken bones and was known as the Iron Horse. Mikey loves baseball. He's got a game tonight. He wants to go to his game, but he didn't want to go to school. So that's the reason why I shared those stories with them. And we have to think about it as we present. We have to have good stories. This is about our ability, our craft. I talked about this in CME just the other day, and Anissa pointed out, I've never heard that before, so I'm going to say it again here. Our gift is our ability to communicate and paint a picture. We don't have canvas, right? And we're not painting, we're using our words. We're connecting with people. We're seeing if they're listening to us. Our ability to communicate is everything, and we have to practice that. We have to practice and know what to say and what to do. That is our canvas, right? It's communication. So we have to understand it, and we have to be obsessed with it to the point that you want to master this craft if you want to be great at what you do. And I promise you, as we get stronger with our communication, and the more that we practice these tough conversations, the better we're going to be and the more business that we're going to do. You're going to track, because I know a lot of you are trying and you're trying to reach out and we're trying to talk to people, but something's not happening where that connection piece is missing. And if it's not, then we need to practice that. Does that all make sense? Okay. So let's talk about just in terms of skill set, because these are the areas, and you may have gone over it if you went to PK's or training, right? But the areas to master is prospecting and setting appointments. So I want, if you have a journal, if you have something, I want you to rate yourself on a scale 1 to 10 on prospecting and setting appointments, okay? We're gonna share just kind of where we're at. Then it's lead qualification. So we got prospecting first. Lead follow-up is number 2, okay? Where are you at? 1 to 10. 10 being you're excellent, 1, need a lot of work, right? Where are we at? Number 3, pre-qualification. We're only gonna go to 5 on this one, okay? Number 4, presenting. 5, objection handling. Oh man, I like 6 and 7 and 8 so much though. Yeah, we'll just stop there. We'll start on the 5, okay? So first one's prospecting, setting appointments. Okay, 1 to 10, 10 being you've mastered it, 1, we still got a lot of work to do. We're just starting, or it's our first time even considering that, right? Setting appointments, lead follow-up. It's number 2. Number 3 is pre-qualification. Number 4 is presenting. Number 5 is objection handling. And I'll read these out loud. You don't have to write them down, but just so you're aware, Number 6 is closing. Number 7 is pricing. Number 8 is negotiating. Number 9 is price reductions, which is going to become important coming up here in the near future. Number 10 is future pacing. Number 11 is customer service, and 12 is working with buyers. These are the 12 specific skill sets that you want to master all of those. You want to rate yourself and see where you're at. Have a pulse of where you are now. And then moving forward, what areas, how do we make them all 10s? Or how do we make the important ones 10s? Okay, we talked about this before. What is the most important skill set out of all of these? Does anybody remember what the number 1 most important out of the 5 we've listed so far are? What was that? Setting appointments is definitely important. What else? They're all important. Lead follow-up. Lead follow-up is big. Do you know what percentage of your business comes from lead follow-up?
Probably,
It's 80%. More than 80% of your business is going to come from lead follow-up.
I have a question.
Yes.
So for instance, if you have an internet,
Uh-huh.
how often would you want to approach them? Or like, if you have a lead in general, like
Right.
you meet someone at the restaurant and they're, oh, I'm going to sell or buy, you know.
It's a great
How
question.
often would you want to follow up? Because after like, if you approach from 1 or 2 times in a week, and then they will just stop responding to them, how often you want to make that happen? So they don't feel be bothered.
So I'm gonna answer that question. Great question. Number 1. Okay. There's a few stats I want you to hear real quick with your lead follow-up. Okay. So be fanatical about your lead follow-up. 48% of your sales or of salespeople never follow up with the prospect. So almost half. So half your competition never follows up once they get that lead. Okay. 25% of salespeople make a second contact and that's it. They'll try it twice and they're done. So 1 out of 4 are done. Right? Or 1 out of 4. Yeah. 25% will make a second and stop. 12% of salespeople only make 3 contacts and stop. Only 10% make more than 3 contacts. Okay. 2% of sales are made on the first contact. So this gets to when sales actually happen. 2%. 98% of the time, it's not going to happen on that very first interaction. 3% are made on the second contact. 5% are made on the third contact, still pretty low, 2, 3, 5. 10% are on the fourth. 80% are on the 5th to 12th contact. Isn't that crazy? 80% are 5 or more contacts. You'll hear this quite a bit. You're going to get 4 no's before you get a yes. Okay. Remember what we talked about. This is the most stressful, most important decision most people have. It's not a very comfortable process. Nobody wants to be told that they have to move. Has anybody moved recently? Last year, 2 years?
Yeah.
Do you wish it on anybody? Right. We don't wish it on anybody, yet we're trying to encourage people to move, right? That's what we do for a living. We're trying to encourage people to do one of the most dreadful things that they're going to go through, right? So a lot of times, and especially in this day and age, it's about engagement and contacting and getting in touch with them. Most people will not answer the phone, especially right out the gate if they don't recognize your number. Sometimes they'll know you're an agent. And so that's why they say on your very first calls, if you don't get a hold of them, don't leave a voicemail. If you don't know the person, if it's an internet lead, don't leave a voicemail. Why wouldn't you want to leave a voicemail if it was an internet lead?
They know the purpose of the call.
They'll know the purpose and they'll think you're a solicitation, right? Now, if somebody's calling on a specific property, so when you talk about internet lead, if it's an address specific, I'm going to leave a response and a voicemail because they're calling specifically about a particular house. It's just like a sign call. Somebody calls you on your listing. You're going to call them back, say, hey, you called about my property here, right? I'm calling you back. Let me know when's a good time to speak. I don't just leave it at that though. Guess what the next thing is that I do? Text them. Hit them by land, air, and sea, right? You hit them in every area that you can because you don't know what they're going to communicate with. Now, if they text you back, should I call them back right away? Keep texting, whatever they feel comfortable with. Sometimes they're at work, right? They can't take a phone call at work on the clock, but they can text you and they're going to see that. Now, do you check all your emails 24/7 as they come in?
I do.
I don't,
I'm an
right?
email
Not as they
fanatic.
come in. Well, she does.
He
So
knows.
you can email Yvette,
Email
right?
me anytime, I get back to you.
You-
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Most normal people don't
Have 457
aren't as responsive to emails, right? So that's where text can be more powerful. Now you have voice text. Voice text is money if you haven't done it yet. because it's easy for them to just listen to, and they don't have to have a full conversation. Remember, people are staying guarded. They're not engaging. So you can get a message across, they can hear your voice, they can hear your great accent, right?
There you
And
go.
be endeared. You can also do video text as well. Video text is also powerful.
I will
Yes.
say, like, he has a point, because I got a lead from my boyfriend of one of his coworkers, and I called him, and he was like, yeah, call me tomorrow, same time. And I was like, absolutely. And then I called the next day, and he didn't answer, and I was like, well, that was rude. He just called me out. And so I like let it go, because I was like, well, I'll give him some space, because he's like in the very beginning. I didn't want to like sound really pushy.
Yeah.
And so yesterday I talked to my boyfriend, and he was like, hey, did you ever call that guy again? I was like, well, no, he never responded at all. And I didn't want to push him. He was like, text him. He's probably at work. And I was like, all right, fine. So I texted him, and he was like, tomorrow, or he was like, Wednesday at 4 o'clock, let's talk. And I was like, absolutely. So it took like
Yeah.
the different avenues, because a lot of like our generation don't actually want to answer, talk to you on the phone. Like I am a texter, so you text me, I will write back instant. Like my emails, if I can type out a response, I'm into it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that it did take like multiple avenues to finally pin the guy down.
You do.
And let's see if he talks on Wednesday at 4.
And the questions you should be asking yourself is, what is your system of follow-up? If it's that critical, how strong are you? If you would scale, is anybody an 8 to 10 on their lead follow-up?
I
Just
did
to
an
be
8.
honest, you gave yourself an 8.
I
Okay,
will follow
You-
up with people.
you're an 8. So what's your system of follow-up? What do you do? So you get a lead or you get a contact. So you did an open house, you met some people.
Yeah.
So let's walk through that.
Well, yes, we did our open house, and a bunch of people had wall questions and ADU requirements. And I
Okay.
said, I will happily reach out to the city so you don't have to
Good,
get your answers.
good.
So yesterday morning, we emailed the city, we got the answers to the questions, and I called, one didn't answer, and I just said, hey, I got the answers to your question about the wall. Give me a call back.
Good.
When you want to know that answer.
Right.
They didn't call back. That's fine. I'll call them again today, and we'll try again.
Good.
So then the other one answered. I said, hey, I got your answers. One of them's a big long PDF for the ADUs for the city. So I'll email that to you.
Uh-huh.
But I got the wall requirements, blah, blah, blah. We talked about it. And he said, with everything you're telling us, this house that you isn't gonna work for us. It requires too much work. I can't put an ADU in, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
I said, that's understandable. I 100% get it and agree. And so then he disclosed, he said, I just want to paint a picture of what I want for you. And I
Perfect.
said, that's awesome. So he just kept going. And I said, great, I will set up a search. We'll start looking to see if we find properties that match,
Uh-huh.
and let's keep it moving.
Good.
So we're in the process
Great.
of.
Any go back to us.
So if anybody, any email back to us. So if anyone has like a fixer in Thousand Oaks with land, sign us up.
Yeah.
Okay,
We can go up to like 900,000.
good.
So
Well, good follow-up with that.
yeah, the
And-
other ones
go ahead.
I've called, like one wanted a CMA. I called and I said, hey, I ran your CMA. There's some points we need to talk about on it. So call me back before I send it over to you.
Right,
Because I'm like, no, I'm not just sending you the info to run away
Good.
on me.
Because we don't give away.
We don't give away trade secrets.
Chief
So, but then, after.
agent trainer.
Yeah.
Nice job, Russ.
But no, and so I'm gonna call them again today, and
Good.
then if they don't answer or call back today, probably by like Thursday, I'll text them,
Well, good.
and then we can email them.
So
And
is
then
it,
after a few times, I'll cut it down.
So
So-
you said like you should follow up within 3 to 4 days. You done 3 to 4 days time?
If you do an open house, you better call them the next day.
Yeah.
No, not for the ones, we're for the leads that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
so it does matter, quickness does matter, okay? They reach out to you, you want to engage as quickly, especially internet leads, as quickly as possible. At the same time, you can also give it a little bit of time and still follow up. It's not the end of the world. They just have to know that you're just not a random solicitation, right? So how you start that call is really important. Your follow-up though, don't be concerned about doing it too much. If it's typically not an issue, most of the time, you don't do it enough, okay? So I was on the other side of not doing it enough early on. My dad, when I got into the business, he says, I'll follow up with that person. I was like, well, I just talked to him yesterday. They really weren't interested then. I want to give them a few days, right? And it was the wrong thought process. That's the way that I was. And I let too much go in between, right? You should stay on top of it, because what happens is more time goes on.
you get more uncomfortable calling. I have an open house lead
Yeah.
that we never followed up with, and now I'm like, I don't even want to call it because
You
it's
do.
been way too long.
You do. More time goes in between. They don't remember you as much, as well as now they have opportunities to talk to other people, especially if this is a highly motivated person that you have to figure out. The key early on, though, is just connecting with them, trying to get them on the phone. Then after you get them on the phone, like you did, right, which was great, and you got a good conversation, they told you everything about what they want. You said you set them up on a search. Did you try to meet them face to face?
I did, but he was still a little reluctant. So I told him, I'm gonna look. I'm not even setting him up on a search.
Right.
I'm looking for the properties.
Good,
And then I'll call him
good.
when we find one.
And that's great, right? And then so what you want to do on a follow-up in your calendar, if you're doing caravan every Thursday, that's your follow-up day. You go check properties out, whether it fits or not, you're still calling that person up. You have your list of follow-up, have a 4x6 card, write on it. This is an old school approach that it was taught to me and it works. Keep those in front of you of all your viable leads that you're actually looking for, because you're not going to remember them all. You're not going to stick it all on the top of your head. So write them down, have it in your car. You go to Caravan, you check it out, and you start calling through every single one of your lead follow-ups. That's your lead follow-up day. You have to set it in your schedule. And that's the key. You can't just put it that, oh, I'm going to remember to call them 2 days from now. You got to put it in your calendar. You have to have tasks. So hopefully you have a CRM that allows you to set tasks. So you see, I need to complete my task and set it for a certain day that's follow-up. Monday is a great day for follow-up. For me, when I was busy with everything, with management and everything else, I do Caravan. And while I'm at the properties, I'm in the house and I'm like, hey, I thought of you. This house looks great. I don't know if it's a fit for you or not, but I wanted to let you know because it's going to be a hot property. Give me a call when you get a chance. 9 times out of 10, they weren't interested in that property. But what they would do is, now I'm thinking of them. Now I have them on my mind. Now I'm on their mind. So then they send me a Redfin listing saying, hey, I saw this one. Can you look into this property? And now I'm moving them to showing them property. I'm moving them to seeing them face to face. This is the critical part of it. You have to develop a follow-up system that is consistent. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. And then eventually it's weighing out your leads and knowing and not holding on to leads. That's another big problem that many people have. They hold on to too many different leads that aren't strong and they're not looking. So I have 5 or 10 people. Oh, these are my next 5, 10 deals. Oh, I'm going to make $100,000 this year off these 5, 10 people that I have that I met at an open house. Well, guess what? Everybody's got the same leads. Hate to tell you that. We all have the same leads. Who gets the business though? The first person to meet them face to face. 2/3 of the time, there's NAR stats out there that whoever meets them face to face, they like you, they meet you, and you solidify that and you start showing them property. 66% of the time, they're going to work with that first agent. So the goal to win this is to meet them face to face. A great conversation is awesome. You may get a lot of information, but until they make the commitment to see you face to face, they're really not making any steps. And then eventually you want to try to get buyer broker agreements if you can, have them under contract, right? That's taking them to a whole nother level. Not everybody agrees with that. For me, I just need to see them face to face, do my buyer presentation, which we're going to go over. It's a buyer consultation. I teach people how to buy a home if they've never bought a home. After that initial meeting, which I'll spend about an hour and a half with them. After that, I got them. And again, I know it's like 90% of the time that they choose me and I work with them, and I'll ask them that question at some point. How do you feel about working together? Don't be afraid to ask that question. How do you feel about working together? If you're committed to working with me, I only work with 4 to 5 buyers at a time. That's all you realistically can service. Okay. I work with 4 or 5 buyers at a time, but it isn't fair for me to work with people that aren't committed to working with me. It's not fair to the other ones that have committed to working with me. You have to, this is like isolating the objection. You have to get that verbal commitment. And if they give you their word, and I'll tell them, if I'm not going to push a buyer broker, I'm going to say, look, I work based on trust. If you trust and want to work with me, that's all I need to hear. Okay. But if at any point in time, you're not happy with me in the service that I'm giving, please let me know. Right. So that I can either correct that, or we're not meeting each other's expectations. We can go separate ways. Right. Just let's communicate that, because I emphasize how important the communication part is, which is everything that we're talking about here today, right? Does that all make sense? Okay. Any questions in regards to that? And thanks for bringing up follow-up, because that is what I wanted to make sure that we touched on. And please, if you can just either shoot me a text or just let me know, or take a snapshot and text it to me. I'll give you my cell real quick if you don't have it. It's 815-1327. Just shoot me a text, and then Karen and I will go over it, and then we'll set up training sessions of what we're going to focus on in the future. 805-815-1327. We're going to do that together. I know Karen prepared some sources. Do you want to go over those of prospecting? Let's go over some of those. And if you guys think of any other ones. So right now, what we're going to do is brainstorm different ways of finding business. Okay? Because this is the most difficult thing to do in real estate, is finding motivated buyers and sellers. And we have to, on a regular basis, you have to find what works for you. Door knocking isn't for everybody. For some people, we know some, right? Yvette, we know some door knockers
Yeah.
that love it.
We had a
You're getting there.
phenomenal
Yeah,
time
you're
last
getting there.
Friday.
Good.
We had a phenomenal time.
And it's
Because
nice.
you're inviting, right? That's different thing.
What?
When you invite someone for an open house and when you do not for like soliciting.
That is nice. You
Yeah,
need to do
we had a specific purpose, but like, we just like talking to people. So
Oh.
realistically, like going up to someone and being like, hey, how are you? Like, we like your front yard,
Yeah.
your door. Like one guy was like, you have the prettiest door. Like,
Uh-uh.
we've been noticing everyone has beautiful
Yeah.
doors in the neighborhood and we really like your door. And he's like, I'm not even finished with it. I was like, well, it looks good on
that.
it.
But have fun with it. If you can have another person to go with, it makes it a
We're
lot
less
easier.
threatening. We're two women, like but we do look like Jehovah's Witnesses because she wears her name badge, she's got a mask on, so I think people think we're here to talk about God, which I'm like, joke's on you. But people like, hey, we get their names, like people came to open house and we're like, Karen, and
Yeah.
she's like, that's right. And I can't remember her dog's name, so I was gonna really try to attract her.
So what I love is that you're out there, you're doing it. You're going, you're
Yes.
looking for it, right? There's a lot of opportunity. I ran across a newer agent just the other day. He's pulled 2 listings. I think I shared with you already,
Yeah.
2 listings door knocking. One of them, he knocks the door. He can tell when they open it that they're painting inside. The place is completely empty. The agent just passed away. And he knocks it and he's like, yeah,
The
we're
agent?
actually looking for an agent. And he said, perfect. He lists the property. And he's just like, it's really,
Right
just,
place,
you got to
right
get
time,
out there, right place, right time, but he's doing the right activities.
Yeah.
Second one was another easy one. It wasn't that easy. It wasn't just handed to him like that, but it was just because he was out there doing it. There are a lot of people that are thinking about selling right now. A lot of people. We have to get to them before other people do. So, yeah, and these are a bunch of sources Karen's prep, just in terms of ways she knows to find business.
Absolutely. So if you're doing a farm, do a client party. Get to know those neighbors.
I like
Have
that.
just a real small barbecue maybe, or something at the end of the cul-de-sac. Some way to get to all the neighbors to come together so that you can meet the neighbors.
That's good.
Treat renters as their future buyers. So if somebody's paying $35,000, $38,000, $4,000 a month for rent, they're eventually going to buy something. So you need to treat them that way. Help them get pre-approved, help them get pre-qualified. That's a great way to get new buyers. Park Bench. Park Bench is a community website that you can do to a specific community, maybe your farm area. So do a website for them so that everybody can go to that website and know what's happening in the neighborhood. You need to be the professional there. Focus on engagement instead of marketing on social media. Make it more of conversations. Make your social media something they want to know about, something they're happening in their neighborhood. Maybe somebody has a new business, maybe it's a dog care or child care, anything that would help them in their daily life. So just be aware of those kinds of things. Bold leads to capture buyer leads on properties. So bold leads is a paid lead and it's new and it seems to be capturing buyers. Look, you don't have to buy leads, but there are ways to buy leads. You can get better leads by doing it yourself than you can by buying them. Work your SOI, engage in conversations. So people that you already know, they need your support as well. They need to know what's going on in the market. You need to keep them engaged in the conversation of real estate. Meet your buyers where they are looking. So if your buyers are out there looking, they're probably looking on Zillow. They're probably looking on Redfin. Go where those buyers are looking so that you see the same thing that they see, so that you can communicate with them. Meet your buyers. Oh, I said that one. All right, sorry. Work a farm area. We talked about that. Become the local agent for parents on the go. So a lot of parents don't have time to do anything other than what they specifically need to do to live their day every single month, their day every single day. Whether it be faith or sports, about schools, nonprofits, volunteer for programs. Let them know of a program that might fit their needs to make their life easier. That's how you're going to make great buyers and sellers.
How would you find places to volunteer?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
How would you find places to volunteer? Like, where would you find it?
Well, I would pick your passion.
Okay.
And if your passion is walking or your passion is animals, you're going to gear your volunteering to those types of things as an example. So you're going to work at the animal shelter if passion is animals, right? They have many different kinds there that you can choose from.
You can be a coach like you got.
Yeah,
could be a
that
coach.
kind of backfired. I would say go the team parent route, because coaching was, I didn't have time to talk to anyone. I don't know about you when you're coaching, but those little dang 4-year-olds don't do anything you want them to. So you're like, I give up. It literally was. I'm like, I'd be like, okay, well, it's good to see everyone, gotta go. And I was like, this was useless. But my son loves me for it. So at least there's that.
That's good.
I was here to coach my kid, but really I was trying to get people to buy houses.
That's right. You may want to do something outside of real estate, like sell jewelry. I sold jewelry for the longest time. People are happy when they're around you. People are happy that they're trying on jewelry. And guess what? I had 12 people every single time that I sold jewelry, and I sold houses to them. I wasn't there to sell the jewelry. The jewelry sold itself. But I was there to communicate with people so that I could sell properties to those people. And they were different. They were everybody's friends. I got to meet everybody's friends. And that was a good source for me when I was doing that. It's just something outside of the box that you need to think of. If you barbecue, then have a barbecue and have all of their friends come. That's a great way to learn who's in the market and who's not. I just made those up, by the way.
That's good.
Be a champion of real estate in the community. Make sure that you know every house that is sold. Make sure you know every house that's listed, and then share it. You're the expert. You're the professional. You're the one that people want to talk to. So make sure you are aware of what's going on in the market, and make sure that you communicate it very well so that people come to you and ask a question if they have one. People are always calling me all the time just to ask a question. So-and-so told me to tell you to tell that, you know, that's how I get some of my leads. And I sell 3 or 4 properties a year from that. So that's a good one. There's no such thing as a free lead. You're always going to pay for that lead, either with your time, with your effort, or with your checkbook. And you're the one that needs to bring it all together. So those are a lot of different ways that you can easily be involved in the community around people you don't know to get to know people that you don't know. And everybody eventually needs you. So there you have
That's
it.
good. Yes.
I just have a quick question.
Uh-huh.
This is probably more specific, area specific. Maybe you can help me with this.
Yeah.
Sure.
I'm struggling with justifying. The house on East Landon right now was listed, you know, if you saw it, at $950, regular track home.
Oh, I think I saw that one.
Did you see that?
Yeah,
I
It's-
don't know,
it's not
some
that big, right?
online agent.
1,500 square feet or something. Yeah.
Maybe, yeah, 7,500 square foot lot.
Right.
100,000 overpriced.
Yeah, way over.
Yes.
Yeah, easy.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at this and now I start seeing the moving stuff and I'm thinking, okay. You hit that area,
Right.
I know it well. I'm
Yeah.
thinking, how are you gonna justify $950? It's not gonna sell. It's not an area, it's an online. 2% commission to the buyer's agent.
Right, saw
You
that.
know, so you know, it's not even, it's an LA office.
Yep.
They're throwing this up there, they put, you know, a little bit of paint, remodeled it, right?
Right.
It's not.
Right,
I can't, and I know we're low on inventory right now. I
Right.
was there in the crash. I sold homes. I started in 96.
right,
I saw it come up, I saw it go down, I saw it go way up, I saw it crash again. I know we have a good, strong, the loans out there have been really good.
Right.
And I know that we are short on inventory right now, I get it. But when they're getting to that extreme,
right,
and I get those calls. My neighbor's house is at 950. Why can't I list my house at 950? Well, you can list it, I'll list it whatever you want to list it at.
right.
Is it gonna sell? Should it sell?
Yeah.
I mean, you get what you want, but I mean,
We could put 1.2 million on it, right?
Sure.
1.2.
yeah, but I mean, how? When
So,
those calls come in.
right, how to handle those
How
calls?
do you go door knocking on that and say, hey, you got a 950 neighbor? Is that what you're gonna do?
Yeah,
You know what I
well,
mean? Yeah.
Well, all you're trying to do, go ahead.
Oh, I just was gonna say, you're going to use all of the things that aren't right about that to educate people about how they're going to list their property,
The right way.
right?
Okay.
That's the main
'Cause
thing.
what's-
I'm gonna go
the
and
inve-
say, this
so
isn't gonna sell, and then it sells tomorrow, and I'm gonna go,
Well, and if it does, then now you have a new high comp. So
Right.
so when we
Right.
door knock, when we do door knock a neighborhood like that you know that neighborhood inside and out.
and
They're
you're
all-
welcome, by the way.
Yeah. But you're right, you see,
Okay.
so it's a conversation, all you're trying to do is have a value conversation starter. And we're trying to get feelers out there who may be thinking about selling. That's all we're trying to discover. We're not trying to convince everybody how wrong that other person is, but what happens if a property is overpriced? What happens?
It's
gonna
on
sit
the
there.
market.
It sits,
Right.
and that will sit. It's not gonna go out at that price, as crazy as we think it could. Now, if it's flipped on the other side, and this is the education part of the pricing strategy, if it's 100,000 underpriced, what's gonna happen?
Yeah, lots of
Way
offers.
over, and not just over what the market value is, they're gonna go higher than market value in this market with low inventory. So the only thing you can do to hurt your client right now is to overprice the property.
Right.
Because what happens when you overprice the property? Do you get any offers?
No.
And if you do, if you do get offers, they know they don't have competition because everybody understands the situation. I know you just had this situation that you confirmed, property was overpriced in Newberry Park. What happened?
Oh, yeah, when,
How long was it on the market first?
at least 3 weeks,
3 weeks on this market in Newberry Park at what price?
1,199.
Almost 1.2,
Almost
right?
1.2, essentially 1.2,
And then she called the agent said they were trying to get what?
115,
115, what did it go out at?
1135.
So it went at 65,000 under their asking price. Do you think they had multiple offers?
And what did I say? I wanted to write at 1.1.
Right,
And the buyer that ended up writing wrote at 1.1.
right,
So I told our client,
to do it. And
essentially, you could get this for $100,000 less, and still you were planning to go to 1.2. You've got $100,000 to work on this house and make it yours on a quarter acre lot. Quarter acre of a lot. That's what you said you wanted.
Leaders, the first thing we said at the very beginning, leaders help people focus on the right things.
Yes.
So what you want to do is help the community understand. You're going to see more of this. I just pulled market stats in Oxnard. The average list price is over $1 million in Oxnard for the whole city of Oxnard, right?
No,
That's
thank
gonna,
you.
but the average sold price has dropped from last year. From last year, January, February, it's dropped. It was a higher average sales price in January, February last year, yet all of California has gone up $100,000. Doesn't even make sense.
No.
But the list price is going through the roof. People are listing high and it's not selling. So you're going to start seeing that. It's going to happen, which is better for us as agents, because when the market is crazy the way it's been, doesn't matter who you list. You're listing from somebody out of the area who's charging nothing, listing it high. That agent doesn't care. You know why they're taking that listing?
Because it's gonna sell.
Well, no, because there's signs out there and people are going to call. They're gonna generate business. Inventory is everything right now. So they don't care if they take an overpriced listing. So the line that I say that is true is I'm gonna tell you what you need to hear to get your home sold. I'm not gonna tell you what you want to hear just to take the listing. What do they want to hear? An overprice. What do they want to hear? A low commission. I'm not gonna tell them those things. I'm gonna tell them, do you want to know what you need to do? Or do you want me to tell you what you want to hear? And they always want to say, no, be real with me. Be honest with me. Especially if I ask them on the expectation question, what are you looking for an agent? I want somebody who's honest. I want somebody who's not going to be BS me around, right? Then I'm going to follow up with that. I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear to get the listing because they're going for that high price. I'm not going to tell you you can get over 950. I know you can't get that.
Right.
And actually, I should say nobody knows for certain.
Yeah.
But what I do know is if we price it according to my pricing strategy, you will walk away with as much money as possible if you follow my lead. That's how we guarantee we can get the job done. That's how we guarantee if they follow my lead, I promise you, you'll walk away with as much money as possible. If you pull some other shenanigans or you go your way, you're hiring me, but we want to go this high price, I can't promise you we're going to get you the results that you're looking for. Does that make sense? It's actually very simple when you understand it and know how to communicate that to a seller. It's huge, but you have to know it and you got to know it inside and out. And they feel that. And then they allow you to lead them through the process. Then they get the results they want because in this market, most people are going to get the results they want as long as you don't take something before it hits the market. And that's why I tell them we can't undersell it unless we sell it off market. It's the only way we don't know if we did it. And you'll hear many people, I have agents following up on off-market properties. And they're like, if you bring us a buyer, we'll work with you. And I tell them, I would be doing you a disservice if I brought my buyer just to you, because you only have one buyer then. In this market, if we leave it on for at least a week, there's no way you leave money on the table. It's impossible. There's just too much with the internet, with everything else. It's impossible to leave money on. Okay, we'll wrap it up, guys. But are we good? Is that cool? All right, let's wrap it up. We'll do closing affirmations and then we're done.